Charting man Dan McDermott joins me now from thechartguys.com. Dan, welcome.
Thanks, James. Glad to be back.
You bet. So this week must have put a smile on your face with all the action in the markets?
It's been good. We went from a period where the bears had it easy for months and months, and now we're in an area where it's not easy street for the bulls necessarily, but there's opportunity in both directions, and this week has given some good bullish opportunities and good bearish opportunities.
Yeah, I published a piece yesterday, or the day, it was yesterday, suggesting that Donald Trump's unpredictable behavior has become a predictable trading signal as it pertains to China and the China trade war and tariffs and all that. And sure enough, that later that day he comes out and says, okay, we're doing a deal with China, and boom, S&P takes off. But gold did not do what I expected it to do, which was to deteriorate. So how much of a factor is Donald Trump becoming in catalyzing market directions?
Oh, huge. And he knows what he's doing, and he knows the power that he has to do it. So it's the kind of thing where, again, we have so many people, rightfully so, saying, I don't really trust this market. The market's being manipulated. But at the same point, you can't be betting against big money that is manipulating the price in a certain direction and trying to fight that. So if you don't trust the move, that's fine, but don't be betting against the move. So Trump did have that, tweet yesterday that rocketed the market to all-time highs. And now that we're having some confirmation from the Chinese side that, yes, we do have a phase deal worked out, there's still a little bit of discrepancy as far as, are we going to see the agricultural promise from China? And we're seeing a little bit of a sell the news reaction today in the markets, but big picture, the bulls are still in full control. And to your point about gold, it has been notable to me as well that both gold and bull miners consistently have been buying the dips that result from bearish reactions to these headlines.
Sure. Do you think that the Christine Lagarde took over the European Central Bank, and her first statement was that they're going to keep printing 20 billion euros worth of funny money and keep the interest rates at negative 0.5? Do you think that has a sort of warming effect on gold?
It could. To be honest, for me, I've been watching the correlation significantly with the S&P 500 and gold and the dollar, of course. And the dollar has been seeing some cracks in its armor. The bulls have been in control for 2 years of the dollar. So I'm watching the dollar, the market, and gold. And at this point in time, it is shaping up to me that we need to see market weakness for gold bulls to really get back in full control to where they were just 3 months ago. So for me, the market right now is the most important factor, and we're going to have to see some losses of daily uptrends in order for these gold bulls to regain their momentum. At this point, they're just playing defense.
Sure. So at what point do you think that, I'm asking you a fundamental question of a technical guy, but I'm sure you can't ignore fundamentals totally in so much as they become technical sort of signals. But at what point do you think that the global deficit in minerals sort of catalyzes a new bull market in mining companies?
Honestly, I don't try and ever time any kind of macroeconomic anything. So, like I said, you have all these people that are saying the market is manipulated, and we have all this Fed money being printed, and we have the repo market getting out of control. But the bigger picture is we can stay, the saying is we can stay irrational longer than you as a trader can stay solvent. So if we are looking at, a mineral deficit, as you suggest, I have no idea if that would come into play in 1 month or in 6 years. So I just use the charts one day at a time to patiently watch for the signals.
Sure. Okay, we're seeing a lot of strength in the technicals of some of the larger cannabis companies, certainly with Canopy Growth on the Canadian side, obviously in the larger U.S. MSOs that have reported, more optimistic revenue growth. Do you think that the bottom is in for the bull market? Do you see any sign of that in your view of the technical indicators?
We are starting to see signs that are showing us that. Today was a big day for some resistance breaks. Afria broke its key level yesterday and got some decent follow through this morning. Canopy broke it today. So that's just putting some pressure on shorts that's telling shorts that it's not going to be really easy as it has been. And for me, it will always be weekly trend changes, which we'll look at on the chart here in just a second. Weekly trend changes for me are the clear sentiment shifters. And that was the case for CGC back in 2017. Around the $7 mark, we changed the weekly trend, and then the bull run began. Bitcoin changed its weekly trend around the $4,000 range, and then it ran to 13,000. So it will be the weekly chart that has me say yes for sure, but we are seeing it on the daily time frame. The shift is underway, and it is looking like, everybody was looking towards tax loss season, and we're now running out of days left in the year. So it is looking like the odds of a bottom being set for now. In addition to the volume climax from when we did see that V-shaped bounce on CGC a couple weeks ago, it is looking like the bottom is set for now.
You bet. All right, Dan, let's take a look at some of your charts now and see what the technicals are telling us.
So we have a bunch of charts to look at here. We'll start it off with gold, and this is the monthly time frame for gold. We saw the big breakout that certainly got a lot of people's attention back on precious metals. This right now is very healthy monthly consolidation, and it's entirely possible that this is a bull flag leading to higher highs in the coming months. We can see back here, it's fairly similar. 3 months of consolidation, an inside bar, and then an increase in bull volume and big breakout from higher highs. I wouldn't expect that same kind of breakout because the one that did take place here was a 2-year tightening pattern breaking bullish, but I am certainly watching for a higher high. And again, it's impressive. Gold can certainly go up when the market is going up. It just goes up easier when the market is seeing some weakness. So it is fairly impressive that gold has only consolidated this much with the market running to blue sky breakout. And I do believe that the dollar losing its strength is going to be the more newsworthy story related to gold. Here's the dollar on the daily time frame, and you can see we've been pulling back fairly significantly, and we're at the lowest prices we've seen on the dollar. Now on the weekly chart, we have dropped down to the lowest prices seen in a few months. So if this weakness can continue, it's a good sign for gold and miners. And again, today is another day where if we look at bull miners, this is NUGT, the leveraged bull ETF, we can see dip buying on bearish reactions. So I have been impressed with the dip buying from bull miners, and I certainly have my attention on gold and bull miners into the start of 2020. Looking at the S&P 500. So here's SPY, and this is what Trump's tweets can do. Trump tweeted first thing yesterday morning for a massive breakout, and then again pre-market. Today, he was doing it again, and you can see this is the volatility as a result and the China headlines, and now it's a little bit of a sell the news reaction, but the bottom line is we continue to hit all-time highs, we continue to remain in a daily uptrend, and for me, the guide has been the weekly higher low pattern, which has kept me bullish, the S&P 500, through all of these brief consolidation periods that we've seen through 2018. So I will remain a market bull as long as the weekly uptrend remains, and that weekly time frame is so important to me. Same for the marijuana sector. So CGC, we have broken key resistance today. We had 2168 as almost a triple top here. We pulled back from it. Today we have broken it. A little bit of profit taking today. No major red flags at this point. But what I am looking for and what I will need is the weekly trend change to really be confident in the bulls again. And what I consider is this move on the weekly time frame is still coming off of the low. I need a clear pivot for a weekly higher low to form, and then that higher high for that weekly trend change to take place, which will be the first time since we started pulling back from $52. And again, just looking at previous examples, the one that I mentioned was 2017, and I can remember sending an email to friends and family who were interested in the sector, and I was comfortable telling them to be looking for entries in positions when this little weekly, and it's hard to see here with these candles, but this little weekly higher low and higher high is what made me confident that the sector momentum had shifted. And that obviously went very well. We had a very different fundamental lead up into that, but weekly trend changes are what will be needed. APHA has consistently been showing us that it is the strongest major Canadian MJ name with CGC. It got its bull break of 518 yesterday, followed through today. Again, same thing, the weekly time frame. This move is coming off of the low, and I will need to see a top out, a clear pullback for a weekly higher low, and then continuation for the weekly trend change to take place. We got close to a weekly trend change here. We had the low, high, higher low, failed to see the higher high breaking resistance, bears took back over and patiently waiting for weekly trend changes for bulls to say, that was a brutal 2018. Let's move onward and upward into 2020. And certainly we will be paying close attention to the fall of 2020 heading into the election, knowing that a whole bunch of individual states will be looking to legalize in the US. And even if we don't have a Democrat with the potential to see federal legalization, that would be a huge bonus if there was a MJ-friendly Democrat in the running heading into September, October, November of 2020. Even without that, we will see catalysts from states like Florida looking to legalize individually.
All right, Dan, thanks very much for joining us today. Your contribution is appreciated as usual. We'll see you next week.
See you then, James. Thanks.